Hey everyone, it's Michael. Today we're going to be talking about Goosebumps HorrorLand, number 1, Revenge of the Living Dummy by R.L. Stine. This one I've read once upon a time. The next book in the series, Slappy New Year, I have apparently not read as far as I know, but I do own it. It's the very last book of the HorrorLand series. I think it's like 18, I think is the number of the book. I'm sorry for my appearance. I need my hair combed or something, and I need a shave, and I just didn't do it. I don't know, I'm too lazy. I don't care. Anyway, Revenge of the Living Dummy. I don't exactly understand why it's called Revenge of the Living Dummy. It's kind of like the second Nightmare on Elm Street movie called Freddy's Revenge. Everybody's like, what is Freddy taking revenge from? What? He took his revenge in the first movie. You know, it's one of those kinds of things. But what does Slappy honestly have to take revenge of? It's not like we're revisiting characters from the first books, the first like 5 or 6 previously to this. But anyway, HorrorLand, for anybody who doesn't know, is kind of a different type of thing for Goosebumps, as a whole run, if you will, or as an era, back in like 2008 or so. If you don't know what it is, essentially, the reason it's called HorrorLand is because you'll have individual books, just like you always did in Goosebumps, but they also have a little bit of a tag on to them. For example, back in the day, you might have 130 pages of the original Night of the Living Dummy book, and then you'd have like maybe a couple of chapters at the end of the book of the next book coming out after that. And with the HorrorLand series, instead of getting, I think you don't get a sample as far as I know, but you get like, instead of a 130 page long story, you might get like a 90, 95 page story, 86 page story, somewhere in there. And then you get like about 8 chapters, about 40 pages worth of a new story. And that story is carried over into the next book, and so on and so on, the little parts at the end of the books. So that's kind of cool. You know, I didn't know it was going to do that until I read this first book years ago. I think I got this book in like maybe 2013, 14, 12, somewhere in there. It was a long time ago. I think I was still in high school, as a matter of fact, so it would have been before 2013. But I read it at one point, and I really enjoyed it back then. I really enjoyed it this time when I reread it. It's very short. Like I said, this is like 94 pages long. The original Night of the Living Dummy is about 132, I think, from what I remember recently reading it. It's good. It's good. I like Revenge of the Living Dummy. It's not really super spectacular, but I would have loved to have seen an episode based around this from the old Goosebumps TV show, or a modern one if they ever do that. If they would make HorrorLand into a TV show for like Netflix or something, I would watch it, but I'm afraid because Netflix pollutes everything. Revenge of the Living Dummy, what is this about, finally, now that I'm done rambling? Essentially, you have a girl, and she has her cousin coming in, and her cousin gets on her last nerves. He's a weirdo. He's always mean to her. Just a mean, spoiled, rotten, bratty kid. And this kid comes in, and he has a ventriloquist dummy. And he calls it Mr. Bad Boy. Mr. Bad Boy is always causing problems, always. He just says mean things. And we don't know a lot of the time if this is Slappy. We don't know if this is a situation where it's like, is this cousin, is he controlling the dummy, making it say these things, or is it like alive? We don't know. You know, it's kind of the same mystery we typically carry on with the dummy books from Goosebumps and from R.L. Stine. And it's enjoyable, as always. There's actually some twists in here that I could see people not liking, but I personally enjoyed because it's more a modern era Goosebumps book. Certain things about it I enjoyed for that main story itself. I also like how the best friend of our main character, Molly, I think is her name, Molly Malloy, something like that. Her dad actually has a kind of like a haunted museum of just scary and creepy and weird things up in the attic of their house, and he happens to have this voodoo doll thing. It's basically a shrunken head, a shrunken human head, which are real things. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, look it up, or don't, because it might terrify you. It terrified me just reading about it in the book, even though I knew it existed beforehand. But it's like that, and it's stuck on a wooden body, like a wooden carved out body, kind of like a dummy, but kind of not. It's in a glass case, and apparently if you touch this thing with your actual hand, it will steal your mind. And that was such a wild concept to me. The book itself is kind of predictable, I'll be honest with you. The story itself is not the most clever thing ever. There are some twists in here that work for me. Not as well as like some of the other original, you know, classic 62 book series Goosebumps stuff. The twists aren't as clever as those, I would say. But I would say this is on par with something like Slappy's Nightmare. Maybe a little bit under Slappy's Nightmare, but it's somewhere in there between Slappy's Nightmare and Bride of the Living Dummy. But I enjoy Slappy books in general. There's not many, or there's not really any that I don't like. I think this is good. I think the rest of them are pretty much good from what I've read and reviewed so far on the channel. I've never really read all of the Slappy books until nowadays. I'm trying to work my way through all of them and then go to other Goosebumps stuff to talk about here on the channel. But I'm really amazed with how Revenge of the Living Dummy kept me going. And like I said, it's a very short kind of story. It's almost 40 pages shorter compared to most Goosebumps stories, so the pacing is just flying by. But the book also opens up with Molly and our main character, I think her name is Brittany, trying to bury something. And we don't really know what it is. We don't know if it's the dummy or we don't know. So there's this whole thing that kind of branches out that has nothing to do with the dummy, this whole subplot that I really like. I liked it quite a bit. Slappy is actually kind of, to me, this is one of those great examples like Slappy's Nightmare from the Series 2000 books, where Slappy is genuinely threatening. I mean, he kind of is scary. You feel like there is this terror to him. I like the book. I like it a lot. It's fun. It's fine. For that main story, I enjoyed it. I recommend it enough just for that. For the rest of the book, which is like 30, 40 pages of HorrorLand storyline, where each book that comes out, the last 40 or so pages of the book that has the HorrorLand segment kind of ties in with the previous book, almost like a comic book series type of thing, which again, this has never been done in Goosebumps before. I talked about this before on my Escape from Horrorland book review a while back. I don't love the idea of now manipulating Goosebumps to have these tie-ins. And frankly, after the Horrorland series, they don't do this ever again, thank God. Because you can go back to just picking up whatever you see in the story and just read that, and that's fine. But this particular one, with Brittany and Molly, and and Brittany's parents going to Horrorland, they got a free invitation just to go for all expenses paid type adventure. Almost like a free trip to Disneyland type of thing, but a horror-themed, Disneyland trip. They're going to that, and weird things happen to them. Kind of like in the One Day at Horrorland book, if you've read that, if you love the Horrorland books, whatever ones came out before the Horrorland series started, I think you'll like this. In some ways, I think it improves on Horrorland as a place, as the kind of attractions they have, the kind of rides they have and stuff. I like this. This was really fun. It was a really cool story. It was a really enjoyable story. I like the setting for Horrorland when we do see that in that last segment of the book after the actual main story is over with. Yeah, there was cool stuff here. I don't have a whole lot to say about that. I don't want to spoil too much for it, but it was fun. It was a fun story. I liked it. I'm kind of curious what the next book, Creep from the Deep, I think is what it's called. I'm kind of curious what that's going to do with the segment at the end of that about Horrorland, tying into the segment at the end of this of Horrorland. I'm really curious about what they're going to do, because like I said, I've only read like 2 books, maybe 3 out of the whole Horrorland run in total, so I don't know what's going to tie in with what, how they're going to do it. Really weird stuff to me. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with this whole series. I kind of wanted to stop here in my Slappy read-through and read all of the Horrorland books, but it's going to take a while to get all of these because there's a lot. There's like I said, I think Slappy New Year's, like book 18, something like that. It could take a while to get there. I would rather collect the original stuff and just talk about the Slappy stuff, because from what I can tell, Slappy New Year's mostly standalone. From what I can tell. I could be wrong about that. Maybe I am wrong. I don't know. I don't care. I'll find out. But yeah, the Horrorland series, I don't know much about it, so I can't really tell you too much about it. I know a lot about Most Wanted. I know a lot about the classic series. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much where I stop at for my knowledge. But anyway, guys, I don't have a whole lot more to say about Revenge of the Living Dummy. This is a fun read. I recommend it heavily, especially if you're a big Slappy fan, especially if you're a Horrorland fan. This might be the one for you, especially if you're a big One Day at Horrorland fanboy. This was good. It was enjoyable. It was fun. It was a quick read. Like I said, it kind of just blows by, especially that main storyline, which in some ways felt thicker and more dense than most Slappy tales. Like I said, with that whole haunted museum up in the attic type thing, the little shrunken head voodoo doll thing, that was such a cool element to add into the story, with the Slappy dummy being involved as well. Or whatever this dummy is, Mr. Bad Boy, whatever you'd like to call him. This was good. This was really good. I can criticize that one thing. That's the only thing I don't like about the book, is how every time that Mr. Bad Boy does something, he'll be like, I'm a bad boy, and it's capital B-A-D, with tons of A's in the middle of the B and D for bad boy. It gets annoying. It gets really annoying, especially because it's so oddly out of character if this happens to be Slappy, It's a weird part of the book. But anyway, Revenge of the Living Dummy, what do you guys think about it? Put your thoughts and comments down in the comment section down below, folks. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this and about the HorrorLand series. Please don't spoil anything for me. I'm trying my best to get through these as fast as possible. Because I'd like to have a whole lot of reviews here up on the channel, just to kind of kickstart things and get things going, get people to the channel to kind of talk about Goosebumps, just have a fun time. Cool stuff, but it seems like a lot of people are really into either the old stuff or the new stuff. It's never both, really. I'm one of the few that are into both. It looks like many people are just into the old stuff more than anything. I don't understand that. I don't get that. I think the new stuff is just as good as the old stuff. That's what I'm seeing. But anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on Goosebumps HorrorLand Revenge of the Living Dummy? Put your thoughts and comments down below. And if I had to rate Revenge of the Living Dummy on a 5-star basis, I think I really liked the shrunken head aspect of this. That really improved a lot of the story for me. If that wasn't included, I don't think I would give it this high of a rating. But I am going to give this a 4 out of 5 stars. Even though I gave some of the other books from the Slappy series a 4 out of 5 stars, previous ones that may surprise you, especially with certain ones' reputations that they have in the franchise. Do know that I don't like it as much as other certain stories in the Slappy books, even though they might have about the same type of rating sometimes. If you've seen those reviews, you probably already know what I'm talking about. But I still enjoyed this. I thought it was a fun read. It was kind of a darker, you know, at least the segment based around just the Brittany, Molly, cousin, whatever the kid's name is, Ethan or whatever. That storyline, it was very dark compared to the HorrorLand aspect. The HorrorLand aspect was just fun, period. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I'm sorry for rambling so much. It's late at night. I have to get ready to go to bed here soon. I'm rushing all over the place. I'm a mess today, and thank God. Anyway, may the Lord Jesus Christ bless you guys today, and goodbye.